And welcome everyone to the Crash the Pond podcast. It is a Wednesday, November 12th edition of the pod. And I'm going to call this a first place edition of the podcast. The Ducks are 11-4-1, 23 points in 16 games, 64 goals scored already. I'd actually be curious to know when they hit 64 goals last year. Plus 14 goal differential. 5-1 at home, 6-3-1 on the road, 8-2 in their last 10. So one could say that the Ducks are flying.
Yeah, and one could say, and you're going to push back on this a bit because of you pushing back when we did this a bit, but we should probably eat a little bit of crow from last week's episode when we had our prediction for how this next week was going to go when we were asked how many points the Ducks would get, and we had said 3 out of a possible 10 points. You would have, as we were texting throughout the week, you were mad that I talked you off the Florida game. So you would have had them probably at 4 out of 10 if we were to redo it. They got an 8 out of a possible 10 points, and I think the most impressive thing for me with this stretch is that these wins have not been a smoke and mirrors situation, and we'll get into kind of each game a bit more in depth. But they've certainly scored, and in some ways maybe at a level that is not going to be sustainable long term, and they've certainly gotten high-end goaltending, but that is not the sole reason that they've won these games. They've played well in these games, and all of the games that they have won over this stretch, they got the better of the 5-on-5 expected goal share throughout that game, and these were against very quality teams, and they deserve a ton of credit for that. And quite frankly, it's not something I expected going into this stretch. And so the team, the coaching staff, everyone kind of within the organization for this stretch deserves massive kudos. And the real question for me is, how do they continue this as the season progresses?
Yeah, so that's going to be what we're going to explore today. Yeah. But first, some housekeeping notes. So for one, I'll start with this. For me, on a personal note, I have encountered some things that I need to take care of in my professional life that are going to require quite a bit of time up until about February. And so I will be stepping away from the pod on a regular basis. I'll still be doing the Patreon podcasts and the Patreon video content, but I will be stepping away. And this is kind of sucks to say. I really wish I wasn't in this position, but it is what it is. And graciously enough, Patrick, who everyone knows by now, who has been on the show before, has agreed to come on regularly. Our good friend Connor as well has agreed to jump in, when the time is needed. So the pod will be in good hands. Jake will be here. Mm-hmm. I will be back at some point. Don't know exactly what it'll all look like, after the month of February, but the pod will be in good hands. People won't have to hear from me as much anymore. So I think everybody wins here, right?
I mean, in my view, no, because for me, it's a bummer for me. Like, you are doing the right thing with this, but I just kind of want to say this. I think there's been some questions about why we're still doing this podcast with how we viewed this team a little bit. And I think that this is a perfect time to say the reason why I'm still doing this and why I still do this is, quite frankly, you and I, through the almost decade that we've done this, have been become really close friends. It's an hour that I get to talk hockey with one of my really good friends. And there was probably a period of time where you and I thought maybe we could do something with this. Maybe we could turn this into something. And life goes on. We've both have our own professional careers. I have 2 kids, and we're both very happy with that. And now this is, I think, just become a space for you and I to enjoy ourselves and talk about the game and have a good time. And so I'm bummed because I'm going to miss that, I guess, on a personal level, even if you are doing the right thing. So I just kind of wanted to say that.
Yeah, I mean, same. I'll echo all of that and saying that I am in the exact same position where when we started doing this podcast, there was maybe a thought of, hey, what can we turn this into? Can we make it into something bigger? Kind of playing that game a little bit. But as time has gone on and as we've kind of both, our own lives outside of this have grown, this has become more of like just a passion project and just something that we both just do because we love. And so that's why it really sucks and hurts to have to kind of hand off the baby.
Yeah.
Something that I've built with you. It's really not fun. But it was kind of bound to happen at some point, that something was going to come up that was going to be so great that was going to pull one of us away. It's kind of, frankly, shocking that it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
But I'm not calling it curtains, and the pod will continue. Like this, the podcast will continue. It'll just be different. I will be back, and who knows, maybe here and there I can jump in.
Yeah,
but this is
all I was just going to jump in and say is that I'm going to do my best to continue this over the next however many months. I cannot guarantee now with 2 kids, and I cannot put that on Connor and Patrick to have to do this every week either. So there may be just some weeks without podcasts, and I think that that's just something that keep an eye on our Twitter accounts. I think that the regularity, I'm going to try to keep going as best as I can, but it may just not happen a few weeks here and there. I think some breaks will be nice here and there for us as we're figuring out kind of the new format and how things are going to go.
Exactly. And this kind of segues into something that I wanted to talk about, which kind of got brought to our attention last week. You know, people like things being said on the internet, people upset, people bashing the pod, people really disliking our tone about the team, saying that we're too negative. I mean, that's nothing new. It's nothing new at all. But I think this season it has been a lot more pronounced. It just has felt that way, at least. And I just want to remind everyone of this. Like, I think that people come into this podcast expecting one thing, and it's maybe on us to just kind of frame those expectations because it's just been so long that people just don't know. So this podcast started in 2017. I was covering the Ducks just as a kind of online writer, writing about them for Anaheim Calling. I had been writing about them for other different websites prior to that. But I was and am a Canadiens fan. I was never a Ducks fan. I'm not a Ducks fan up until this day. I do feel, invested in the team because of how much time we spend watching them and talking about them, but they were never a team that I actually cheered for or rooted for. When the podcast started, Jake and I just happened to kind of team up for a podcast once I decided, hey, I want to do something where we do a podcast after every game. And so Jake was the Ducks fan. Jake was the fan that was kind of bringing that fan perspective, and I was kind of the foil of the outsider, the just the raw kind of objective analysis person, right? Like that was kind of the role. And as time has gone on, and as we have covered this team now for so long, we've both developed our own kind of spins and biases towards the team. We've seen multiple GMs now, we've seen multiple coaches, so many different rosters. And so it has evolved from that, but that is the original premise, and it still really is that to this day. Like, we are both kind of more on the analytical side, and so for those who come to this podcast thinking, okay, well, I'm going to hear really great things about my team all the time, we're just not that podcast. We are the podcast that is trying to look at things as objectively as possible. That is not to say that we are plainly objective, because no one is. Like I said, we all have our biases and we all look at things a certain way, but we try to do the best we can to present the most complete picture possible. And yeah, there's going to be times where maybe we get it wrong. Maybe we go too far in one direction. Maybe we're too positive. Maybe we're too negative. But that is what we're trying to do here. Yeah, we've literally been accused of both. And so so that is what we were trying to do here. So if you are listening to this right now, just know that the rest of the way. We're probably going to keep repeating it as much as we can, because I think it's been forgotten. We've just been doing this for so long. Yeah, but new people come in, especially as the team improves. We see the numbers, more people drop by, and so we just have to remind people, like, hey, this is what this is about. And so for the people that are frustrated at us, I would say that, hey, maybe it's just our bad that we didn't communicate the fact that this is how we view the team, or this is how we approach the team.
Yep.
So there's your long preamble. Any other things you want to add to that?
No, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there, and I think we're good to go.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about the actual hockey. Let's talk about the team. So why don't you give us the rundown? Because for those who don't know, maybe haven't noticed, but I've been a little off the grid the last week. So Jake will kind of take it from here.
Yeah. So I want to give a breakdown because we've jumped into the analytics, and I think the last couple of pods really dove into kind of the numbers and maybe how they weren't performing at the level that the results were giving to them, and that that this upcoming stretch specifically was going to be one that could determine how this team is. I think I had long said that the first 10 games of the season were going to tell us if this team was bad or not. And this next 10 game stretch is going to tell us if this team is actually a playoff team or not, or in the mix in November as best as they can be. And so want to dive into these games. So the Panthers game, I think that one was interesting because the Panthers coming into that game were a very good 5-on-5 team. They were going into that game at 56% expected goal share, and the Ducks really came out and just kind of dominated. Or sorry, let me rephrase that. I'm looking at it again. It's been a minute, but the first bit of that game, the Panthers had a bit of control, and then about midway through that game, the Ducks kind of jumped on them, and the Ducks were really able to put their foot on the gas there, and they were really able to take over that game. And one of the impressive things that I think I found from that game was how they played in the third period, specifically because the Ducks went into that third period. I believe that they had a 2-goal lead. That was the game where let me double check. Yeah, they had a 1-goal lead going into the third period. That was the game where they gave up the massive penalties against. Leo Carlsson was ejected from the game for the 5-minute major. We're not really going to go into whether that was a good call or not.
You want to debate that?
Not really. By the way, Chubbs Peterson, want to give him a shout out. Just said, let me find this and I'll put it on the screen. Gave a super chat and said, best Ducks pod on the planet. Dolphin licks are fantastic gentlemen. Woo, let's go Ducks. Thank you, Chubbs.
Shout out to Chubbs.
You truly are the best. But after they were able to successfully kill those penalties and played extremely well in the penalty kill in that stretch also, and they really put their foot on the gas in that third period after that. And it was really reverse score effects in that game. And I think that was the most impressive thing for me, was that you had a Panthers team that was this good 5-on-5 team. And if I'm remembering correctly, the game in Florida, they allowed them to come back and tie the game in that one. And so on this one, they generated chances, and the Panthers flatlined when the Ducks had a 1-goal lead late in, or going into the final 10 minutes of that game. And so I think that this was a game that was very impressive for me with how they ended up playing in that third period and scoring, and especially kind of taking over the game from the midway point on. All right, so now go ahead.
I'm looking at the numbers here, and I just want to point out that. Am I looking at the Dallas game? The issue with your articles is that I can't tell which game is which. I guess I could just look at the screenshot. Never mind.
The screenshot legitimately says, yeah, it's.
But your title doesn't put the game.
Fair,
and
fair. I'll add that in. That's a fair critique.
So I'm looking at the individual 5-on-5 numbers from this game.
Sure.
And Zellweger looks like Zellweger had a really good game.
Yep.
Looks like the Senneca, McTavish, Gauthier line had a really good game. Trouba as well. It looks like pretty much every, like the Ducks' top 6 was good. Ian Moore was good. So it really just seems like the bottom 6 and Lacombe and Minchikov that struggled in this game. So for the most part, it looks like everybody had a pretty solid night. Which kind of speaks to your point that they scored a bunch of goals, but they also had kind of this solid game to back that up.
Yeah, like maybe they shouldn't have scored 7 goals in this game, all on a goalie, but they still played well enough to win a game against a really good team. Like, this was the game that Cutter Gauthier scored the hat trick in the second period, and also should note, just Cutter Gauthier's looked really good and looked really good in this game. That, yeah, you're right. The Senneca, from the numbers and just from the eye test, the Senneca Gauthier McTavish line was very, very good in this game.
Yeah, and I'll get to the thing about they shouldn't have scored that much, because I have a theory on that. But continue.
Going into the Dallas game is one for me where I thought that they actually played a very, very solid game. A really good defensive game at 5-on-5, specifically in Dallas. This was a game where the first period was a bit low event, even though it felt like, I think in that first period, that they were on the back foot a bit, largely because I think Dallas scored early on in the power play, and they ended up going into the intermission with a 2-goal lead, both goals coming on the power play. But at 5-on-5, the Ducks really held their own. It was kind of a lot of neutral zone play, kind of not a low event period for the most part. And I remember going to that second intermission kind of thinking, okay, this is going to be the test, because this feels like a very adult Dallas Stars team that the Ducks are playing. And the Ducks, at the end of the day, are a young team that's looking to get out into the rush, and one of the more rush-based teams in the league. And in the second period, the Ducks really were able to generate a ton off the rush. That was kind of where they got a lot of their offense, and they really limited the Stars. And the Ducks, going into that second period, were down 2 goals, and they came out of it. I believe they were up 2 goals. Let me confirm that. I'm looking at the 5-on-5. Yeah, they were up 2 goals by the end of that.
So is this the game? Is this the game where you were texting me? Are we worried about Dostal and point shots?
Yes,
and
this
like
was
screenshots.
Yep.
Because I'm looking at the first 2 goals, and they're both power play goals by Dallas. And it's just shots coming through. I mean, the second one was a shot coming through. The first one was just a shot in the slot.
Yeah.
I mean, my thing with that is, I'd love to see the numbers on him against screens for last season, because it feels like right now I'm not ready to just say he's prone to that.
Sure.
Like it feels like a little bit of noise to me.
It 100% can be noise. And what Felix is mentioning here is that this was a game where Dallas got a decent amount of their goals on tips. And that's, I think, just kind of how Dallas plays. But I had mentioned this in articles prior to this game even, that Dostal had been beaten a decent amount on tips and compared to the expected goal totals of those tips. And he was beaten, I think it was twice, with tip plays in this game for 2 of the 5 goals against. And so it was 8 goals on a 4.7 XG total. It's a really small sample, so it could just simply be noise. But this is something I'm curious to see how that continues and kind of what happens from there. But for this game, the second period, the Ducks really kind of put their foot on the gas, and they really controlled play. They really got out. They really got out in the rush, and that's kind of what this Ducks team really should be trying to do. And they ended up getting their goals in that second period, and that put them in a really good spot going into the third. The issue is the Ducks gave up some power plays in this game in the third period, and the penalty kill was okay for one of them, and the other one gave up a ton of chances. But they came through, I guess, if you want to say that. But the Ducks ended up holding on for a 7-5 win in this game. I thought they really played well at 5-on-5 and did deserve this win. I think the third period was slightly rough for them, but they played a solid game overall.
Well, one thing I want to chime in on is the tying goal in the second period. I mean, talking about rush opportunities, you have Ryan Poehling turning a corner on someone in his own zone, then takes it down the wing. But you have Ian Moore, a defenseman, sneaking in back door and gets it and bangs it home. I mean, we're probably going to talk about it later, but it actually shows in the numbers in this game that Ian Moore is just very, very good. And what I watched a little bit of the game yesterday against Colorado, and I think what I've noticed with Ian Moore is that he started off the season playing just kind of this very solid brand of hockey, kind of just breakout passes, breaking up plays, making smart decisions. But now he's getting more confident and aggressive offensively. And I mean, if he adds that dimension to his game, I'm not sure what the ceiling is for him.
Yeah. This was also a game where the power play was good. The Ducks had 2 power play goals in this game. Chris Kreider also looked very, very good in this game. We'll get into more of kind of everything.
The goal he scored probably should have been stopped, but
I think just overall he's been playing really well. I mean, he had 2 goals in this game, though.
The first one, yeah.
Yeah, but played really well overall. And for those wondering, kind of, this is more of a breakdown of kind of how they've played, not into the individual goals and everything like that, I think if you want to chime in with that a bit more, this is more just an overall breakdown. We'll get into individual players as we get going later on. But jumping into the Vegas game now, this was a game that I thought the Dallas game was impressive, but this was, I think, even more impressive than that one, simply because Vegas is just kind of this like stalwart of a team. They're a team that have really held the top of the league. They're a team that everyone thinks, including myself, are probably a very big cup contender going into the season. And the Ducks held their own in the first period, a bit of a back and forth affair, a lot of neutral zone play. Both teams got some looks. Both teams got goals in that first period. And then in the second period, the Ducks had a 10-minute stretch there from about the halfway point of that period going into the second intermission, where piggybacking off of a power play goal, or coming right at the end of the power play or after the power play, a goal that they had scored, and really utilizing the momentum from that and jumping on that and just basically turning it on against Vegas in a way that I don't think I've really seen a lot of teams do for a sustained 10-minute stretch. And the Ducks got rewarded with a second goal, or their third goal in that game, second goal of that stretch. And that really set the Ducks in a good place going into the third period with, I think it was a 2-goal lead going into the third period. Issue in this game, though, is the third period. The Ducks, I think, so far this season, they've had some things, the Dallas game there, but I think one of the more impressive things for the most part this season has been their ability to reverse score effects in some ways and attack in the third period and not be left too open on the back end.
Can I jump in?
Yeah.
Can I jump in? So
Sure.
What Jake means by score effects is that usually what we see in stats and just watching the games is that if a team is up going to the third period, they're going to sit back, try to protect the lead, and the other team is going to get more aggressive and really chase the tying goal. So reverse score effects means that you're leading, but you're also on the front foot and dictating play. Continue.
Yep. But this game was just like quintessential score effects, where the first 10 minutes of the third period, the Ducks were solid enough. They generated some offense, but then they essentially flatlined. They didn't really get many shots, didn't get many chances, and they were essentially just receiving the game from Vegas, and they had a 1-goal lead at that point in time with Vegas scoring a power play goal earlier on in the third period. And Peter Mrazek, for as rough as he has been, and as rough as he was at various points in time in this game, they really had to rely on him late in this game to not allow a game-winning goal in regulation from Vegas, because Vegas, after getting the game-tying goal later in the third period, they kept pushing and they kept getting their chances, and they, in reality, probably should have scored an additional goal to win that game in regulation. And due to Mrazek, the game goes to overtime. He makes another big save in overtime, and the Ducks end up scoring a game-winning goal in overtime on the stick of someone that I would have never expected to be on the ice and especially score a winning goal in overtime, in Jacob Trouba. And it was a really nice move from him also, going forehand, backhand between the 5 holes. So a lot of credit there. Anything you want to add from checking things out?
Well, 36 saves on 39 shots for Peter Mrazek. I heard a lot of slander to start the season. Any apologies that you want to?
He is still sketchy.
Want to hand out?
He is so sketchy as a goalie. There was one play early in this game where he overcommits to Jack Eichel going like around the net and basically slides out of the crease behind the goal line, where Eichel tries to feed it to the middle of the ice and it just doesn't find a Vegas stick, but there was a wide open net there. And it's those types of plays with the overcommitment that I think that's just what you have to live with when you have Peter Mrazek. It just kind of is what it is.
I also do want to just touch on the fact that, Leo Carlsson, 2 goals in that second period, and 2 goals kind of in tight. A backhand off of a really nice Troy Terry feed, and then a little bit of a soft goal, but still great to get it on net and kind of get in tight on his second goal. And I mean, we'll talk more about it later, but Leo Carlsson is second in the league in scoring, tied with Macklin Celebrini with 26 points. So
yeah,
there you go.
And let's get to the Jets game. This was one we didn't even touch on this though. We touched on Mrazek starting, but the decision to start him in Vegas and not at home against the Jets was an interesting one. It was one you actually pondered on the last episode we did, that's what you would do if you were in that situation, but both of us agreed that likely they would go Dostal against Vegas in Vegas. But I like that decision a lot to put Mrazek in, and I think Quenneville deserves credit for making that call.
Let him play at home. Let him play at home where it's not going to be as tiring.
It wasn't just that. It was also from the perspective of Vegas was playing Akira Schmid in net, and I think that if you want to have a game, and granted Vegas is the better team, but the Ducks should have been able to get their goals against Vegas. If the Jets were playing Connor Hellebuck, it's really tough to get your goals, and you want your number one goalie in net against them, even if they're a worse team, because you can envision a 5-3 game against Vegas. If Hellebuck was in net, I could not have envisioned that type of game happening. And so from just a strategy perspective, I think that it was a really savvy decision. Turns out was all for naught because Winnipeg started, what was it? Who's their backup? Is it not Comrie?
Comrie?
Is it Comrie? Yeah. They
know.
started him.
Let's go with that.
Sure. I'll double check that in a sec. But instead of Connor Hellebuck, and Frostback, our good friend Tyler Tennell is confirming that it was Eric Comrie. And this was just a really comfortable game. Like, I think that this was the most comfortable win of this stretch, where I think you look at all of the other games from the stretch, whether it was the Panthers, where, yes, the Ducks got the 3 goals late, but they allowed all those penalties. It felt like the Panthers could probably tie the game late. Whether it was the Dallas game, where Dallas was really pushing to tie the game and they got within a goal, and then the Ducks had an empty netter to ice it. Whether it was Vegas, where Vegas was really pushing. This was the only game of the stretch where it just felt like the Ducks were kind of in control and pretty smooth the entire time. From the number side of it, it was a bit of back and forth. There was a decent amount of special teams play in it, but with Dostal in net and how good he was playing, it just never felt like they were really threatened defensively too much. And then offensively, they got their looks. And this was a game where the Ducks deserved to win, and deserved to win in a pretty nice and easy fashion.
Yeah, and I think that one of the big positives for me in this game is Beckett Senneckes, just because not just that he scored, 2 goals, but
it was 2 goals in
that
game.
The way that he scored them. So obviously his first goal was a little bit of, we'll call it not the best defensive coverage, but the finish, that is not an easy, because he's on his strong side. It's not an off wing one timer, which makes it a lot more difficult. You're on your inside foot. And he just sends it upstairs perfectly. That's an elite. We'll call maybe elite's a little strong, but that's a high end finish. Very, very encouraging there. But then to me, it's really his second goal where I start to get a little, just intrigued and excited about what his future is, because so much of the Senneca discussion this season for me has been just kind of what he is currently and just assessing what we're seeing. But he is showing us these kind of breadcrumbs of what he's going to be in the future. And that second goal where he's at the net front, he's battling through contact, he's battling through traffic, and he just kind of finds a loose puck and jams it home. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that you can make a living off of in the NHL. There's so many guys that have done that have just been kind of net front warriors. And if Senneca can have any semblance of that in his game on a regular basis, along with the skill that he has, the open ice skill, the playmaking, the vision, the hands, you're talking about a very complete offensive threat. And, there's just not many guys in the NHL who can do it in all these different ways. So he's doing it now. It's still kind of hit or miss with some of his mistakes. Maybe we'll talk about it later. But
yeah,
if you're looking at these highlights, these flashes, like this is the stuff that should have people really excited about what he'll be in a couple years.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question about that. Who'd that goal remind you of?
I feel like you're going to say Corey Perry.
I am going to say Corey Perry. Like the way that he plays is very Corey Perry-esque. Like, I forget what game it was at this point in time, but there was one where he just straight up falls on a goalie. Like, barely gets shoved and just falls on the goalie. Like, it is... His game feels like a carbon copy of what Corey Perry was.
I think he's more skilled than Corey Perry by a decent amount. I also think that... I think he's more skilled. Like, I think he just has better hands, better shot. I think Perry was very skilled, but Perry kind of did it with his kind of small area plays in front and his just kind of weird range and size.
I think you're underselling peak Perry.
He was very skilled. Like, don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but I don't think that he did the stuff Senneca does. Because Senneca dangles people pretty regularly. I don't know. Maybe I'm underselling. Like, Perry was great. This is not.
Yeah.
But I'm saying Senneca is very, very skilled.
Sure.
What I appreciate about Senneca too, and where I think he does resemble Corey Perry, is that he's not afraid. And we saw this in the preseason. Like this is early in the season too. Like, he loves to mix it up. He loves to get to the net front. He loves to he's landing more hits. He's finishing more checks, and sometimes he just bounces right off the person. But he's eager. He wants to be out there. He wants to. I mean, I hate to use this trope, but he's a hockey player. He's not just out there to make his plays and kind of admire his passes. Like, he's in there to get his nose dirty. And that is a very Corey Perry-esque trait, and to me, that just kind of raises his floor as a player.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Want to jump into the Colorado game real quick?
Yep.
So this was going to be interesting. This felt like all eyes of the hockey world were on this game because
TNT?
It was TNT. It was, I believe at the time, number 1 versus number 2 in the league from a points perspective. It was the high-flying, I think two of the most highly prolific offensive teams in the league. It was the stalwart Colorado Avalanche, who looked destined for another cup run this year, versus the up-and-coming team with the young players that are trying to get into that. And there were just a lot of narratives going around it, and I think from my side of it, it was going to be really fascinating to see because all of these games and all these teams they've played before, they really outperformed what my expectation was and what I expected from them within those games specifically. And these were all against good teams besides the Jets at 5-on-5. And for anyone that seen this, for anyone saying like, how are you saying these teams are bad when they're in a good spot record-wise? This is just purely based upon their 5-on-5 numbers. When we're dealing with early season, records can be a bit wishy-washy. And so that's kind of where I'm coming from, is the Jets are not a good 5-on-5 team. I think they're like 32nd in the league or something like that. They might be 31st.
Can I ask you something?
Sure.
I'm hijacking the pod, but
Go for
the
it.
title of your analytics breakdown for this game is "Damn It."
Yeah.
Care to explain why it's just called "Damn It"?
Have you not realized it's the song of the game is the title?
What? Okay. I've been out of the loop clearly.
Yeah.
Damn it.
So the reason why Damn It was song of the game is the Avalanche have really co-opted Blink-182 with playing All the Small Things, and that was a really huge thing for their cup run. Damn It is one of my favorite Blink-182 songs, and there's probably a lot of Ducks fans feeling that feeling after this game.
Okay.
See?
Perfect.
There you go. Yeah.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
I'm sold.
Yeah. Happy?
I am happy. Explaining things is helpful.
All right, so now jumping into this game, though, this was a game where the Ducks definitely looked like they were on the back foot for especially the first period or the first half of it. They got scored on very early on in this game, and it felt like they really let the game come to them from that point on. That beginning part of the first period, they really were allowing Colorado to attack. The Ducks had maybe 2 chances in tight in that first period from Leo Carlsson, and that was really all there was to write home about. The rest of the game, they were able to get their looks. They were able to get out in the rush and play a bit more of their game, but they were not able to really generate consistent high-danger looks throughout the game like they have throughout the rest of the season. Not a Real Duck in our YouTube chat brings up the fourth line got exposed heavily in Colorado. Yes, the numbers do say that also. And the Avalanche just really were getting a ton of chances. The Avalanche looked great on the power play. The Ducks' power play was not great. To me, the only reason this scoreline was 3-1 at 5-on-5 was, or 3-1 besides the empty netter, was Lucas Dostal. To me, he was the story of this game from the Ducks side of it. He was so good in this game. He held them in it. He kept them tight in this game where they were within 1 goal up until midway through the third period. And that, to me, was the big story of this game. I think you can take some positives away that the Avalanche are like a 60% expected goal share team, and the Ducks only had the Avalanche, I think, at 55% in this game.
They're so fast.
They did better than most teams have done against the Avalanche, but this game showed that there are still lessons to be learned for this team moving forward as they are trying to ascend into the ranks.
Would you say that the Ducks have yet to learn all the small things?
There you go. All right.
Wow, that lack of reaction tells me I struck a nerve.
You did. It's fine.
Okay.
But anything you want to add about this game before we hear a word from our sponsors?
I will say it ain't so, and let's just keep moving.
All right, so here we go. This episode of Crash the Pond is sponsored by BetterHelp. That's betterhelp.com/crashthepond. We talk a lot about the numbers on the show, the stats, the trends, all the data that helps explain the game. But the mental side of hockey is just as important, even if it doesn't show up on a spreadsheet. And the same goes for life outside the rink. Therapy can be a huge help with that. When I went through a rough stretch in my own life, talking to a therapist helped me see things differently and learn better ways to cope. It's a space where you can work through stress or tough emotions, gain perspective, and start building healthier habits. And it's not just for people in crisis. Therapy is really a tool for personal growth and self-understanding. BetterHelp makes getting started easy. It's an online platform that connects you with a licensed therapist and includes tools like journaling and daily group sessions. Just fill out a short questionnaire and get matched in as little as a couple of days. And if the first therapist isn't the right fit, you can switch anytime. With over 7,000 reviews and a 4.5 rating on Trustpilot, BetterHelp is a platform people trust. Plus, BetterHelp accepts HSA and FSA cards, so you can use your benefits before they expire. If you're thinking about therapy, go to betterhelp.com/crashthepond or choose Crash the Pond during signup to get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/crashthepond because taking care of your mental game matters everywhere, not just on the ice. And
wow, good job.
Thank you.
I was on the edge of my seat there.
Thank you. This episode's also brought to you by NordVPN. So, for those of you listening to this episode, you may be wondering what NordVPN can do for you as a VPN service. So, it is something that can really mask your IP address, give you security with that as you are going through your online browsing. If you are someone that watches sports, which if you're listening to this, you watch sports. And so with that, you can safely access your streams and other content from home, no matter where you go. Easily switch your virtual location to access apps and websites in other countries, or you get access to social media and other services not available due to censorship. So if you're traveling and you are outside your home base and you still want to watch Victory Plus, you can do that with NordVPN. You can really make it seem like that. It's also easy to use. Connect with one-click or auto-enable auto-connect for, or with one-click or enable auto-connect for zero-click protection. It is also one of the fastest VPNs out there and supports every major platform. There's also NordPass. NordVPN, NordPass are just really, really great things. And we have an exclusive NordVPN deal for you. You can go to nordvpn.com/CTP. It's risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. You can check out the episode description if you want more information on that.
Yeah, I know that we have a lot of listeners who don't live in the Orange County area, LA area, and
also true.
Watching the Ducks can be difficult. VPNs make that easier. I'm raising my hand to that because I am one of them. It helps me watch the games, and also it does not slow down your connection because when VPNs first started, you could tell the difference. Now, sometimes I forget it's on, even when I'm doing the podcast, and it's unaffected. So check them out.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. So
plus, minus, open ice.
I want to really quickly before we do that, bring this up because we just talked about every single game. I want to bring up the differences just numerically between how they've played because I think.
Oh, but save that for a plus. Save that for a plus. Use that as a plus.
Okay, fine. All right, plus. This is my first plus. The improved play.
Okay, so just
so
everybody knows. Just so everyone knows. Again, I'm trying to be very conscious of the newbies. We're doing a segment of plus. These are positives from the week, minus, negatives, and open ice, which is a grab bag, anything that stood out. So let's go. Your first plus.
Yeah. First plus, improved play for this team against good teams, or against the good teams in this stretch. And I think important to give this caveat, this is all small sample size. Like we had mentioned on the last episode, this is just a snapshot of how they have played. This does not necessarily mean in a small sample this is who they are going to be. They could, after this stretch, really take a dive in the dumps and not play this way moving forward. This could be a mirage. They could continue this and continue how they're going. But I want to bring this up at 5-on-5. In the first 9 games of the season, prior to the Detroit game, is the delineation line I used. Their numbers were at 2.88 expected goals for per 60, 3.45 expected goals against per 60, and a 45% expected goal share throughout games. In these most recent, what would it be, 7 games that they've played since from Detroit on, they've put up a 3.24 expected goals for per 60, 2.99 expected goals against per 60, and a 52% expected goal share. So they have improved offensively by about 0.4 expected goals per 60 minutes of ice time, and they have decreased their expected goals against by about 0.45 expected goals against per 60 minutes of ice time. So they have improved both offensively and defensively. I think that defensively, just from the eye test perspective, the big drivers, I feel like they just aren't making as many dumb turnovers at their blue line that other teams are able to capitalize on, making as many turnovers in their own zone. I think against Colorado, they got into those habits early specifically, but I think for the most part over the stretch, they've limited that led them to be one of the most leaky defensive teams in the league up until that point. Offensively, I think that they've done a good job over the stretch. They are still a very rush-reliant team, but one of my big critiques of that last big road trip prior to the mini homestand was that I felt like they were being completely rush-reliant, where they were not really able to get a lot of offense from in-zone time. But it feels like that's changed a bit, and they've been able to get offense. I think about the Jets game and the first Senneca goal, where they had the puck in the zone and going from low into the slot. That was where that goal came from. That was not on the rush. Like, you think about the second Senneca goal, also kind of front net. And so, yes, they are still getting their rush goals. For instance, the Kreider power play goal, the Senneca power play goal against Dallas. But they are a team that I think is having a more varied way of getting offense over this stretch. And I think that really needs to be commended, and a lot of credit needs to be given to Quenneville. A lot of credit, I think, needs to be given to Jay Woodcroft running the forward group, and I am forgetting who is in charge of the defense. McGill? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I thought you were going to give credit to someone else, but you didn't go there. So we'll wait and see on that one.
I mean, I can give credit to
starts with a P.
I mean, I was about to
beak.
Sure, fine. I'll give credit to Pat Verbeek. Sure, like I disagree with a lot. I'll give him credit. The Chris Kreider trade looks brilliant right now. Chris Kreider, like, this is another plus I have.
He's playing well.
He is playing very well. You and I were both fans of that trade when it happened, but we're skeptical also of the long-term impact of it. He's looked very, very, very good, and.
Well, it was always kind of like it was always like a high variance move where it could go very well and it could also blow up because of his health. And so far, like, you see that his body is holding up and his skill set is just so complementary to Terry and Carlsson that it's worked really well.
Yeah. Yep. Do you want to give pluses or I have a list of them that I can go on with.
Well, I'll give you one here.
Okay.
And this one, I think, is just more of a general plus. The Ducks right now are projected, according to Evolving Hockey, for 89.5 points this season, meaning that they have a 47.4% chance at the playoffs. Now, you might look at that and say, that's not that great. They're still out of the playoff picture. But I'll say this. That is a pretty big step for where they've been. It's below where the team wants to be. They want to be in the playoffs, but it is exciting that they are in fact moving in that direction. And I think what's exciting is seeing other people excited. Like, there is an excitement about this team right now. Other podcasts are talking about them more than they have been. You're seeing more buzz on Twitter, and I think that for these players, for these young players especially, like, this is a good thing to experience. Yeah. Now, we're only 16 games into the season. It's a long season. It's a grind. There's going to be some long road trips. There's going to be some tough matchups. But the fact that there has been this kind of positive swell, I think it is indeed a plus.
Yep. I think another plus needs to be Jacob Trouba. This is where, if you want to give Pat Verbeek credit, like, that trade is looking like it's aging extremely well with how Jacob Trouba is playing this year. And he is someone that offensively just has been fantastic for this team. Defensively, about neutral, but that's kind of how, like, being neutral defensively on a team that can be as leaky as the Ducks have been is not necessarily a bad thing. And so Jacob Trouba has been fantastic.
Yeah, and speaking of defensemen, I really want to shout out Ian Moore again, because watching a bit of the Colorado game yesterday, he is just creating offense. He is getting into dangerous areas and finding people, and it just feels like his game is expanding. And it's still very early in the season, and do we have an update on Gudas and his health? What's going on there?
All of those, Gudas, Strome, and Granlund are all practicing and are on the road trip with the team.
I just don't know what you do. I don't know, because Ian Moore right now is one of this team's best players.
I have a question for you. Mm-hmm. This could be purely anecdotal, and this is definitely not a plus. How much of this is Gudas not being in the lineup? Like, does Gudas have a negative impact? I know you've said you thought he's been fine this season, but how much of, because I'm trying to remember when he got hurt. He got hurt in the game in Tampa. And so there was the Florida game and then that stretch starting in the Detroit game. So he has not played for the Ducks during this entire stretch. How much is there correlation there, or is it just kind of noise?
Look, I'll say this so that people don't come after me. But watch the two players this season. Radko Gudas, I said it and I'll stand by it, was fine when he was playing. But there's a difference between having a player who's fine and a player like Ian Moore who's moving the needle, who is pushing play ahead, who is creating offense, who is killing plays, who is making clever breakout passes. Like, that is a guy that's more than fine. So it's not really through any fault of Gudas's. It's just that this guy is better. Better players help your team. And that's why I just wonder, when he comes back, what this is all going to look like. Who comes out, because it's not clear what you do, to be honest.
Yep.
Especially now that they're winning all these games.
Yep. All right. Got a few more pluses. Let's get to. Let's have the Leo Carlsson conversation. You've watched his shifts. What are you seeing?
I watched his. Okay. Okay. I'm going to try to be.
This
is the
for
plus
a different
section.
area. Yeah, this is the plus section.
So I'll say this. Leo Carlsson right now has 26 points, and that is tied for second in the league with Macklin Celebrini. He's a point ahead of Connor Bedard. And I watched every one of his shifts against Colorado, and what I see right now is a guy who is so dominant in one facet of the game, and that is his speed, right? It's a little Nathan McKinnon-esque, where he is a little out of control, right? The stick handling is a little too twitchy, right? The skating is a bit noisy, but he is backing people up. When he enters the zone, defenders have to back up. He's bringing he's bringing a backtracker with him, right? Somebody's behind him, that back pressure, and that is creating openings around him laterally for other people. And he just does that whenever he wants. And that is a huge positive. The fact that he has this dimension to his game that other teams are just not really doing anything about right now. Now, one of my critiques with Carlsson this season has been that I don't really know kind of what is his other dimension, what is his B game. And I think that we're seeing little glimpses of it. We're seeing little breadcrumbs of it start to show up, where he's popping open for shots in the offensive zone up high. Like he's skating into open ice or quiet ice when someone else has the puck. He's making these plays in tight, to score goals. So we're slowly seeing his offense become a little more varied, a little more diversified. And the fact that he's already so dynamic and dominant in one trait, if he can just add a little bit more, we're talking about a guy like a true first-line center. And that is indeed a huge plus.
Yep. My plus here and why I have Leo Carlsson here is just, I think over the stretch in general, like he's had some games where he has just looked dominant and looked like the best player on the ice. And I think you're right that it is in some ways, it's not a varied look necessarily from him, but it is one that is working as of right now and is something that teams have not been able to stop. And this is not something I necessarily expected from him so far in this season. I expected, and we had talked about kind of point projections, that I thought Leo Carlsson would probably make the jump into maybe the 60 or 70 point range. Like, he's on track to be in the hundreds. I don't think that he's going to necessarily end up there, but he's very likely going to be over a point per game player this season. Like, that at this point in time feels very likely just with the amount of points that he's gotten. And I think that that is a huge plus for this team, a huge plus for him overall, also being able to take that step.
Well, also part of it is that he is playing on a line that caters to his strengths, right?
Yes.
He's playing with Chris Kreider and Troy Terry, who are good rush players. I mean, there's so many different plays where, because Terry and Carlsson are both kind of agents of chaos, in my opinion, just from watching their shifts yesterday, where it's like they are always looking to create. They are always looking to make that extra move, that extra dangle, and sometimes it can lead to really dangerous situations for the Ducks, but a lot of the times it creates chances for the Ducks, and it also just puts stress on the other team, because when those guys are out there, they're constantly pushing the play. They're always moving the puck up the ice, and Kreider is a savvy veteran. He knows how to follow. He knows how to get to the net. He has great hands around the net. And so, you know, we were kind of worried a little bit about how those two guys would mesh, Terry and Carlsson. And it's not necessarily always the cleanest, but when they hook up on certain passing plays, they look like dynamite. And just because they both have that kind of put your head down and just go north attitude, I mean, it's a handful for the other team to contend with. And you know, to your point about the production, I mean, Carlson's shooting 25% right now, 25.6%. Like, that's just not going to hold, because it doesn't hold for anyone. But the way that he's playing, the way that line is playing, would suggest that he has a high floor of production that should hold.
Well, and I've got some stats for you real quick, just on some of the lines for the Ducks so far this season. So that line for the Ducks is currently at 66% expected goal share. The McTavish line is at 60% expected goal share. And then the Killorn, Paling, Nestorenko line at 62% expected goal share. Like, that's a really good top nine that's been going. The fourth line of Vetrano, Harkins, Johnson, 25%.
Well, what's interesting is that they're missing Strome and Granlund for a lot of that. Like, yes. I'm very curious what that'll look like when those guys come through.
Also, just kind of perusing the line numbers. Interestingly, the McTavish line has not really gotten punished defensively in probably the way that they should have been. They've only been on the ice for 0.79 goals against per 60 as compared to 2.87 expected goals against per 60. Mm-hmm. So, just something to note. There's probably going to be some regression there at some point.
Yeah. Any other pluses?
I mean, right now from this stretch, there's a lot of pluses. I mean, Senneca and Gauthier, I think both have been really good. McTavish have been good. Like, all those players have been really good. I guess Senneca, the only thing I'll add on him from kind of what you said earlier is that I think, kind of backtracking to our conversation from however many pods ago about where he's going to be, is that I thought that if he was in the top 6, that being with the Ducks is probably best for him. I think he's improved so far this season and deserves a lot of credit for that. Like, I think he's shown that he's taking steps forward. He still is making some of the mistakes that he was making, but I think that if he stays in a top 9 role, being with the Ducks is probably the right place for him now.
I mean, he still very much looks like a guy who, you know, there's holes in his game, no question. But you can see that those weaknesses are starting to at least morph a little bit, that they're no longer as big of weaknesses. You know, although he does still get out-muscled and outplayed along the boards, he is, like I said earlier, a very willing combatant. And sometimes half of the stuff is just, how bad do you want it? How bad do you want to get into that corner, win the race, lower the shoulder, get your stick in there? And if he has that determination to do it, it's going to improve. Even if he's a little, you know, slight, even if he's not necessarily going to body certain guys, he's going to get his share of puck battle wins. So if his attitude is as good as it seems, which is just, hey, what can I do to keep getting better every game? And he's taking to the coaching that he's getting, and he's getting the opportunity with two really skilled guys in McTavish and Gauthier, then yeah, this is a positive. This is a very good thing for him right now. And so, of course, we'll monitor how he looks as the season progresses. But, I would just say that looking at the stats, if you look at, and these are like very basic stats, but if you look at his, shooting percentage, what is he at? So he's got 6 goals and he's shooting 24%, right? Yeah. So I would just be careful to not necessarily pin expectations on him as far as points and goals. But in terms of just his overall play, the eye test, he's looking more solid for sure.
The interesting one is Cutter Gauthier, how much he's been shooting the puck. And the fact that he has as many goals as he does and is only shooting 14%. Like, that is...
given his volume, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, like just how much he's shooting. And he's overperforming a little bit looking at what the expected Fenwick shooting percentage is versus his Fenwick. For those that don't know, Fenwick is just essentially unblocked shots or unblocked shot attempts. So both on net and missed shots, and what your expected shooting percentage is versus what it actually is. And so his actual
because he takes so many bad shots.
Yeah. Well, his expected Fenwick shooting percentage is 6.36. His actual is 11.22. Actually, this reminds me. I want to find this really quickly because I noticed this when I was looking it up. Want to guess who has the highest expected Fenwick shooting percentage on the team?
Senneca?
Kreider's expected...
Okay, fair enough.
Expected Fenwick shooting percentage is at 14%. He is currently shooting at... He just is front net, basically.
Yeah, he's always at the net, and that's why he's able to do that. So yeah, like I guess that's maybe if we want to get into the minuses a little bit.
Oh, I've got 3.
It's just that a lot. Well, this isn't really a minus, so I'll kind of blend it into open ice. But it's just that a lot of what the Ducks are doing in terms of offense, in terms of just production, is kind of underpinned by some really hot shooting. And what we all know about the hockey is that when you've got a really high shooting percentage, at some point it's going to regress back to the mean, which means you're going to go through a cold stretch, and then it'll regress back to the mean positively, and you'll have a hot stretch. Like, that's usually how these things go. So expecting the team to keep scoring in bunches like they do, especially from the skill guys, it might be, like, I would just say for people that are really amped up about the start, be excited because, like Jake said earlier, their overall 5-on-5 play is indeed improving, and that does lend itself to sustainability. But as far as just the sheer production, that's just something that probably won't hold at this level.
Yeah, they're not going to score like 5 to 7 goals a game every single night throughout the entirety of the season. I'm going to kind of piggyback on this. This is not a bad. This is kind of more of an open ice, and my own view of this is that so far this season, we've seen them win games they should win. We've seen them lose games they should lose. And we've seen them win games they probably should have lost. Like, we've seen those 3. We have yet to see them lose a game they should have won from a numbers perspective. And that, I think, from the shooting percentage perspective, that's kind of where that will come into play, is if they just, puck luck doesn't go their way, they get a bad goaltending performance. I think I'm very curious to see how this team reacts, because everything is going really well for this team. That is exciting for everyone. But an 82-game season is a grind. And if we are going off of the view that and judging this team based upon the expectations that they've set of making the playoffs, which they are playing to right now, then that is the question, is how do they react? And to me, that is the real question for Joel Quenneville, actually, also, in the sense of, I forget which podcast, I think it was on 32 Thoughts, that Elliot mentioned that someone had brought up to him that they thought that Quenneville would be really good for Kreider and Trouba because he knows those ages of players. Those are the types of players he's worked with. The real question was, how was he going to connect with the younger generation of players? And so far, it's worked well. So far, those players are playing extremely well under him. Can
I add something there?
Sure.
What I would say about the young players with Quenneville is that he lets them play through everything. Those guys make mistakes all the time, and there are basically no repercussions. Like I think that's generally a good thing. Like let the guys learn, because that was the issue with Cronin, is that every time there was a turnover or something, it was you're nailed to the bench or you're scratched. I just don't think young players learn that way.
I have another thing for you on that, but I do want to get to the bad that I've got before I get there. But I think to that Elliot Friedman quote, I think it's going to be interesting to see how does he motivate these young players when they are going through a skid, when they are playing well and the results aren't coming. How does he work through that with them? And to me, that is the test of this team for how they are going to be moving forward this season, because not everything is going to be rosy for an entire 82 game season.
Yes, so, correct.
There's that.
Like it will be interesting to see what this team looks like when things start to slow down.
Yeah. All right. Want to get to my bad? I've got 3 of them.
Okay.
Discipline. The discipline over this stretch has not been good. The Ducks have allowed way too many penalties late. They have taken bad penalties, whether it's, I forget which game it was. I think maybe it was the Dallas game where Mason McTavish elbowed a guy and took a penalty that way. Whether it's high sticks, whether it's hooks, whether it's puck over the glass. Like, this was a team that early on in the season had really good discipline, and that's really slipped. And it probably should have cost the Ducks one of these games here, just with how the discipline and how they were giving up penalties in those situations. The Florida game comes to mind that, yes, they scored those 3 goals after the power play, but Florida probably should have scored at some point on one of those power plays. And so they're really putting themselves on the back foot. Another bad is the penalty kill. The penalty kill is an interesting thing right now, where we talked about this in the last podcast, but the Ducks are getting shorthanded goals. Like, they are really flying the zone and getting a ton of shorthanded goals. So much so that I'm just trying to look up the exact number, but they are 7th in the league in expected goals for per 60 on the power play. The issue is that they are currently 16th, so not horrible, with first being worse on the penalty kill, but they are still not great. They're at 9.56 expected goals against per 60. But specifically with the penalty kill, I want to mention the Carlsson-Terry duo. And while they are certainly making noise with how they are generating offense for the team while shorthanded, in the Colorado game specifically, it really became apparent to me that it's coming at the expense of defense, though, with those two on the ice. And when you're on the penalty kill, you can't prioritize offense over defense. That's just really not what you can do. And so here's the expected goals against per 60 for Carlsson. It's at 14.35 with Leo Carlsson on the ice on the penalty kill. With Troy Terry,
where is that league-wide?
Let's see. Shorthanded. Let me pull that up. Expected
where would that
again.
put him in the NHL?
That puts him 12th worst.
Yeah. So, not good.
Not good. And it was evident, I think, in the Colorado game, where if you look at the penalty kill, and I think there was one in the third period at some point, and it was maybe the one that Colorado scored on, where the Ducks got some clears, and it was with the Killorn-Paling duo on the ice. And it seemed like those two just had so much better reads, so many better or they were just reading the play better in the defensive zone, breaking up the cross-ice passes, getting into the passing lanes. Whereas with the Carlsson-Terry duo, they were kind of more floating around in the defensive zone, is kind of how I viewed it, and really looking for the opportunities to attack. And I've always been someone that wanted Troy Terry on the penalty kill, but it was not because of the offensive ability. It was because of his defensive acumen. And it doesn't feel like that's happening. It feels like they are, whether it's what they're being told or what they're doing, they are prioritizing trying to get offense over defense. And that is leading to them not really doing a great job at killing penalties with those two on the ice. And so I think either there needs to be a change with how they're approaching it, or I don't think Carlsson and Terry as a duo should be killing penalties long-term for this team. So there's a bad for you. Any thoughts?
Well, I'll say this. I did watch Carlson's shifts last game.
Okay.
And I do think that when he's kind of just set and when the other team is cycling the puck around, he he is quite competent. Like, he gets to the right spots. Sure. He keeps his feet moving. He's aware. He's proactive. It's just, and I do think that they're being encouraged to kind of, hey, like, if you see it, they call it backs and bobbles. So it's like, if a guy has his back turned or he bobbles the puck, that's when you go and attack it and try to get a rush the other way. And I think that they're maybe a little too aggressive on that. Like, that could be a thing where it's like, hey, it's great that you want to have this high octane penalty kill, but like you said, you're out there to kill the penalty first.
Yeah. Yep. All right. The other bad I've got is Frank Vatrano. Like, he's been bad. He's been bad. Like, defensively, he's been as bad as he's been for the last few years. It's no different from that side of it, but there is just no offense for him. Like, and it's so much so where there have been games recently where I've forgotten that he played. Like, I just forgot he was on the team, basically. Like, that feels like where we're at with the Frank Vatrano, like, experience, is that he is a fourth liner and not even a good fourth liner on this team right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anything you want to add?
I mean, all I'll say is, to quote Nate Diaz, I'm not surprised.
All right.
I'll leave out the end of that quote, but for the family-friendly element of this, but I'm not surprised.
All right. For my open ice section, this is more of a good than open ice, but I'll go with it. Dostal is so good. Like, he is just, I think the Jets game specifically, he's just so in control, is reading plays so well. It's really impressive. So he just deserves to be shouted out every single time. And quite frankly, like, if they did not have Lucas Dostal, they would not have the record that they have. People would not feel as positive as they do about this team. They would not be talked about as much. And so Dostal is someone that I think is not discussed in the same ways as a Leo Carlsson, as a Beckett Senneckes, as a Mason McTavish, as any of these guys that are getting all of the limelight right now because of the offensive production that they're getting, the Cutter Gauthiers. But he is the backbone of this team and is a major driver of where they're at right now.
You know who predicted that? This guy. I was told he'd step back and regress.
Hey,
you know who didn't believe that? This guy right here.
All right.
I mean, it's still a young season.
Yep. All right. Here is the last open ice portion that I have. I was listening to a little bit of The Sheet today with Merrick versus Wyshynski. I think it was yesterday's episode, actually, when prior to the Colorado game, they were talking about the Ducks. And I guess Wish is working on an article right now. It might be out and I've missed it, but where him and Kristen Shilton interviewed Pat Verbeek on a phone call. And kind of they were talking about that. And one of the things that Wish kind of brought up is that the fact that Quenneville is not punishing players, to your point, that he is kind of allowing them to make their mistakes. And that is leading to the Ducks having this really kind of open style. And Verbeek's view is that he hopes, though, that Quenneville's system will allow those young players to make those changes and improve defensively as the season goes on. My question about that is, what was the purpose of the whole Greg Cronin experience then?
I mean, I think that what we're seeing with this Ducks hot start is just how much of a colossal waste of time the Greg Cronin experience was, and quite frankly, is maybe the biggest misstep of the Pat Verbeek era, is that you look at this team right now, and we said it back then, but this team is, and this kind of ties into my point about the shooting percentage, which is that, yeah, it's high, yeah, it's going to regress, but this team is so skilled. There are so many good, young, skilled players on this team. What was the point of bringing in a taskmaster, defensive guy who didn't know a damn thing about offense, whose coaching stopped at the red line, right? And so what this shows, what this Quenneville experience shows, is that the Ducks have a very great core of young talent. They just needed a coach to bring that out of them, to let that come out. Forget even bring it out. Just let that come out. Don't hinder it. And you know who beat that drum for 2 years? This podcast. You know who was pushed back on that for a lot of that? This podcast.
Yeah, how many times did I get pushed back on The fact that you can't have more than 3 young defensemen in a lineup. I don't want to radio wish, so here is the quote. Is his hope is that the systems Quenneville has in place allows for young players to get better defensively. If these young guys screw up, they are not getting Jordan Kyrou. They are staying in the lineup and they play and they learn from their mistakes.
Right. It's like, who could have seen this coming?
And it's like, what was like... Then why'd you have Greg Cronin as your coach? If this is how you're viewing things, why did you have him bench guys? Why'd you have him do everything that he did? Like, it's just.
I mean, hey, you know what though? I'll give him credit. Like, that is growth. That is understanding what happened last year. Because again, last year was a colossal waste of time. What the Ducks are doing now, they could have done last year with the right coach, and we said that at the time. Go and check the replay.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Anything else you want to mention? Anything else?
Well, in terms of open ice, I've got a couple things for you.
Okay.
Number 1, Leo Carlsson's stick length. If you notice Leo Carlsson, next time you watch Leo Carlsson, when he is skating up the ice and he's stick handling through the neutral zone into the offensive zone, watch the amount of times that he kind of bobbles or fumbles, to use a more common phrase, fumbles the puck. Like, he loses control of it pretty often. Now, not to the point of losing it completely, but you can tell he's kind of like, he looks like a little handcuffed at times. And I think that this guy could benefit from a shorter stick. Cut like an inch off of it and have, because his hands are so high, they're so close to his body that I think it just makes it hard for him it makes it harder for him to navigate those spaces. If he had a shorter stick, I think it would just allow him some more, just a little more margin for error. And then another take that I have, and this is going to shock some people, but for me, seeing Beckett Senneckes get his goals the way he's doing it right now, and comparing that to Leo Carlsson, and seeing how Leo Carlsson, so much of what he does is just purely off the rush. I'm not saying Beckett Senneckes is necessarily going to be the better player overall, because Leo Carlsson is just so much more dynamic as a skater, bigger, actually, no, he's not bigger. But, he has that presence about him with the skating. But I think there's a very real chance that Senneckes ends up being the better offensive player, because Senneckes is just so much more varied in his approach. He has that great shot. He has those great hands off the rush. He has a great playmaking mind off the rush. And he has that snarl at the net front that I was talking about. Like that is almost as complete of an offensive toolkit as you can get. So it could end up being the case that, hey, Senneckes ends up getting more points than Carlsson, but Carlsson has like better underlying numbers because of kind of that center element. But this is a great development, because if you have both of these guys and you're debating who's better because of how well they're playing, then you're in a really good spot as a franchise.
Yep. That's certainly a take that might get some pushback from people, but
offensively. And by the way, like, I still think Leo Carlsson is going to be great. Like, I'm a big fan of his game, and I have been since day one, but I think that what we're seeing from Senneckes now is him basically saying, I'm part of this conversation too. I mean, let's not forget, he was a 3rd overall pick. Carlsson was a 2nd overall pick. Of course, people will say Senneckes was maybe not expected to go 3rd, but still, these are both very high picks. It's not crazy to think that they could be close in terms of their impact in certain phases of the game. And again, I'm a huge fan of Carlsson's game.
Yep. All right. Want to get to questions or anything more for the open ice section?
Nope. Go for it.
All right. So we're going to start with our Patreon exclusive Discord. Go to patreon.com/crashspawn, where you can subscribe to us there. At the $2 tier, you get access to our Patreon exclusive Discord. All right. So we're going to start with this one. Shake and Wing said, is this team hitting on all cylinders yet?
No. I still think they have another level to hit.
Yep, I agree with that. Appa, no more fun said, with the start they've had thus far, how many Ducks get Olympic nods? So Carlsson for sure does.
Yeah.
Do you think anyone makes Team Canada from this group? McTavish, I think, is the only one that would potentially, but no.
No.
Do you think Gauthier makes it?
Dostal
also.
Dostal is a lock. Gudas is a lock. Yeah. For the Americans, though, I mean, Lacombe has to be in the he was at the camp for USA.
Lacombe,
So I think,
Lacombe, Gauthier, Terry are probably in the conversation. Oh, Kreider
Yeah, I
maybe
think that-
also?
Kreider was on the Four Nations team.
Yeah, exactly.
So if any, I think that of those four, the likeliest are probably Lacombe and Kreider to make it.
I could see them wanting to take Gauthier to have a young player there to just be the 13th or 14th forward and just be there. I think if he keeps producing, I could see that. Lacombe, the only issue is I don't think the scoring's there right now for him to really make that mark
and also
to get on that team.
USA's blue line is just so deep.
Exactly.
But I think I still think he has a chance because of how great of a skater he is. I mean, Mrazek should also be on that team. Granlund should
on
be
Team
on
Finland.
Yeah, so the Ducks will have a few Olympians. Yeah.
Yeah, they should. All right. Hockey for Life said it's early, but who on the roster do you see as a core guy, young forward, who is currently untouchable, and who do you see as expendables and possible trade bait at some point over the next year? Also, who do you predict of the vets with expiring deals after the season or next that gets extended? So, core guys, I think forwards, it's just the guys you would expect. I think Gauthier, McTavish, Senneca, Carlsson, McQueen, if you want to throw him in there.
Everyone has a price.
Sure.
But the guys with the very highest price are the guys you just named.
Yeah. Let's see. Defense. Who do you see as a core guy?
For me, it's very simple. It's Zellweger, it's Lacombe, it's Luneau, it's Moore, and then Minchikov I still think is in there. I think that really they have their core on the back end. Like I would just keep all of those guys. Hellison. I mean, there's really no reason to keep looking. You have all your guys, and they still have some defensemen on the way through the junior ranks. Everyone's getting excited about the Finnish guy Lassi Buelius. So, yeah, they're fine on the back end.
Yep. What about vets with expiring deals after the season or next that could get extended? Do you think Trouba gets extended?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Strome?
I don't think is Strome expiring this year?
No, I think it's
that sounds wrong.
Next year. Isn't it? Let me see.
Yeah,
he has one more year after this one. So yeah, I'm talking about this summer or next summer is kind of how I was reading that. So I'll list the players. Kreider, yes or no?
I'll say yes.
Okay. Killorn.
No.
Okay. Strome.
Yes.
Let's see. Trouba.
Yes.
Gudis.
No.
Okay. I would agree with all those. I guess if
what
you
about
want to say
Poehling?
Mrazek. Oh, yeah, Poehling. Sure. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll say yes.
Sure. Ross Johnston.
No.
Yeah, he's probably not going to be in the lineup much longer. All right, let's get back to questions, though. Shaken Wing said, thoughts on Ryan Poehling in his fourth line position and penalty killer? I think he's been solid.
I really like him. He is a player that I just enjoy watching. He's kind of the anti-Lundestrom, where he has that great kind of end-to-end skating, but he actually takes it to the middle of the ice instead of doing that stupid lap around the net.
I forgot about that from Lundestrom, about just the circling.
That was his signature play.
That was. And would never, I can remember one time he ever made a pass from behind the goal line that found someone in the slot.
Nope.
He also said, who has been the best, Ducks' best all-around defenseman, offensive defenseman, and defensive defenseman? I mean, all-around and offensive to me is Zellweger.
Is it bad that Is it bad that I just want to say Ian Moore for all three?
No. I think Zellweger's been better, though.
Probably, but I think... Oh, man, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I think it's between Moore and Zellweger for all of these.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Johnny said, of the healthy defensemen on the Ducks, who has been the best and worst form so far this year? So we already said best. Who's been the worst?
Oh, boy. Here we go again. I mean, I don't think anyone, especially in this recent stretch of the D-men, have been bad, but it's still Minchikov to me. And that's not saying he's been bad. It's just other guys have been really good.
It's him or Helleson between the two of them.
Yeah, but they've still been solid. It's just
Yeah.
like the Ducks' top four is playing so well right now.
Yeah. Free Me from Pat Verbeek said, how good is Manchild for Beckett's goal song, and has he surpassed expectations so far? It is a great song that he did not pick, that I think the DJ just randomly gave him, and it is pretty perfect, honestly. And has he surpassed expectations so far? Yeah, I'd say so.
Mm-hmm.
Hazmat 2015 said, what are your way too early Jack Adams predictions? Is Quenneville a shoo-in for the award if the Ducks continue playing well?
If the Ducks make the playoffs, he is getting a nomination.
Yes.
That is just 100% happening. Yeah.
Yep. Brad said, 2 questions. Once Gudas returns, what are your preferred D pairings? Leave everything as is, or take Helleson out of the lineup and put Gudas with Lacombe.
Have Radko Gudas eat popcorn with Derek, Patrick, and Zach and Iceman in the press box.
There you go.
Maybe have to pick kernels out of his beard every now and again.
Once Granlund and Strome returns, what are your preferred lines? I'm gonna get spicy here with this. I think you keep the top line the same. You keep Carlsson, Kreider, Terry, but then you go Gauthier, McTavish, Granlund. I think for as good as Beckett Senneckes has been offensively, there are still warts to his game defensively, and I think having a veteran in Granlund there can be helpful. I think then you do Nesterenko, Strome, Senneca.
Ah, man, see, this is where it gets tough, because it's like, what do you care more about? Like, I think Senneca is better off from a development standpoint being with McTavish and Gauthier.
Sure.
But from a team success standpoint, Granlund is the better NHL player at this point in time. So it's like, what do you value more, I guess?
Yeah. Yep. And I'm coming from it from the lineup construction side of it. And so Senneca with Strome is still okay. And then if you want to put Killorn there, if you want to put Nesterenko there, whichever one. And then probably, if I had Nesterenko there, then it would be Killorn, Paling, I guess, Vetrano. I mean, I'd rather have Colangelo than Vetrano at this point.
I'll push back on you.
Okay.
I'll say that I'll just make a third line with, I leave the top 6 as it is. I go Strome, Granlund, Killorn as my third line. And then I push down Paling, and I have Nesterenko instead of Johnston. So my fourth line is Nesterenko, Paling, Vetrano. I think that Strome, Granlund, Killorn it could be a very solid third line.
It could. I don't disagree. Like, I think that is the alternative to what I said.
I think Senneca is just better off. Like, I think what's better for Senneca might also be better for the team.
Fair. That's fair.
If he's on a line where he can chip in offensively, that's probably better than on a line where he's just kind of like getting his cardio in.
I mean, I think that in a fourth line role, yes. I think playing on a third line with Strome and Killorn, or Strome and Nesterenko, is a bit above that, but I don't disagree with what you're saying.
Yeah.
So, D Frenzy has these questions. Is this arguably the wildest start to the season in the last 10, 15 years? I don't think anyone predicted all the craziness in the West, and Connor Bedard, Celebrini, and Carlsson being at the top of the league in points. With McKinnon, Ducks at the top of the Pacific, Kings being worst California team so far, Penguins doing so well, I could go on and on. I mean, it's been wild, but
it's early.
My thing is, we're 16, 17 games in. I think that the wildness happens over this stretch because you have teams that are
This is where it always happens.
Somehow Seattle is winning games. Like, I found that out yesterday because, to be clear to everyone, I don't really look at the standings that much until we get to maybe like the halfway point of the season. Like, to me, it's just not interesting because you just have so many teams that are in spots where they necessarily shouldn't be, and then we need time to go on for things to level out a bit more. I think the Kings are playing fine. Like, I'm not really concerned. I think the Kings are probably still a playoff team. I don't really think the Sharks are. I don't think the Sharks are gonna stay where they're at. The Sharks are probably gonna fall off. Like, they're fun and exciting right now, but their game is not great. Like, it's wild right now. But I think that I want to see it at 40 games before I start figuring out who's a playoff team and who's not.
Well, I will say that like Carlsson, Celebrini, and Bedard being in the top 5 of the scoring race,
Yes.
isn't that crazy? Because like this is what happens. You know, the young guys that come into the league with all this hype, as they get older, they eventually. I mean, Celebrini's only in his 2nd season, but like there is a changing of the guard that eventually happens, and I think it's really cool to see those names up there. I don't know how long they'll stay up there because there's some guys who are going to pop back up, but it's still cool to see.
Yep. D Frenzy all said, listening to last week's pod, Felix was adamant that Bedard was so much better than Leo. I feel like when it's all said and done, Leo will be considered the better player. That's been my hot take for years now. I feel like he dominates more of the ice and is way better on the boards in both zones and going down low defensively. Does this early season success for Leo change either of your minds who can be the better player when it's all said and done? Leo or Bedard, I mean.
Well, I guess this is kind of directed at me.
Yeah, I'll answer it after.
So to be clear, I don't necessarily watch Bedard as much as Carlsson, so that is a bias that I have. And I will say that the more you watch a player, the more you kind of notice certain things and you might fixate on them. So my view of Carlsson might be almost too far into the weeds. But I think that just from what I've seen of him versus what I've seen of Bedard, Bedard has just a bigger offensive arsenal. You know, his shot, his playmaking, his hands are all better than Carlsson's. And that's not to say Carlsson's are bad. It's just Bedard has a very special elite offensive talent. I think where the debate really comes down to is, yes, Bedard is the more skilled player, but does Leo's size, skating combination, does that outweigh his size and skill plus his skill? His size and skating plus his skill, does that outweigh what Bedard's brings skill-wise? Because Bedard is not very big. He's not very fast. I still take Bedard because I think Bedard... I mean, first off, my opinion on players isn't going to change. You know, my opinion on players who have been in the league for a few years now is not going to change because of 15 games. But I will say that I think that this is kind of what I expected. Leo Carlsson... I was very high on him. I was one of the few people that defended the pick when it happened, and I'm still high on the player. And I think that he was a very good pick at that spot. This is kind of what I expected him to become, not stylistically, but I expected him to become a first-line center. I still think Bedard is the better player, but that just doesn't take away anything from Carlsson. Like I think these debates are fun, but I think they're kind of unfair to the players where it's like,
yeah,
let's just appreciate the players for what they are because they're both great.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I kind of agree with everything you said. I think I don't really like doing the comparisons between the two because they are so different, but I think as of right now, I'd still just keep Bedard as being the better player. I think his shot's insane, creativity, everything like that. Like I think Bedard has that over Leo. That's not to say that he's always going to be like that, but also, like, they're two great players. Like, to me, like, just enjoy it. Brad said, who each of you like to... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
There's also this whole thing about, which guy would you rather in the playoffs, right? Which guy's going to translate better in the playoffs? And maybe there's an argument that Carlsson and his size and some of his defensive instincts in terms of getting back and breaking plays up, maybe that translates better in the playoffs, whereas Bedard is smaller. But... I still think Bedard. I still would take Bedard. So yeah. There you go.
Brad said, "Who would each of you like to see as the team's next captain?" I mean, it's probably Leo at this point in time.
I think I would like to see Terry. Just give it to Terry.
Well, that's who they should. I think at this point, that's probably not going to happen. That would have happened now or prior to like that would have happened with Gudas. I think if you want to give Terry the captain, that was the time to do it. Was prior to last season. Just had signed his 7-year extension, all that type of stuff. Like that was the time to give him the C. I think now that Leo's starting to establish himself as being the number one center on the team, like I think you give him the C and let him be the captain for a long time.
Yep.
Appa said, in both your opinions, is Anaheim somewhere players from other teams want to play in now, or is this smoke and mirrors? I mean, I don't like. We
gotta let the season play out.
Yeah, like it's hard to say. We're 16 games in. Like, let's see how the season plays out. Let's see who they go out and sign, everything like that. Patrick said, team's biggest roster/lineup need.
Just more depth, I would say. Like another scoring winger, or maybe, just like another forward, I would say.
I would say a high-end right-hand shot defenseman. But that's hard to... Like, the defense is a big issue.
Yeah.
The offense, yes, I don't disagree with what you're saying, but this team is getting their chances. They're getting looks. They have the talent there. The offense has not necessarily been the issue. It's the blue line. It is the giving up chances, everything like that. And offensively in the top six, I don't really know what else you can add to that mix as of right now. Maybe a depth scorer for the third line can be added, and that would be useful. But I think adding a higher-end right-hand shot defenseman, like a true number one defenseman, is probably what this team is missing.
Well, some will say that's Jackson Lacombe. I mean, a guy that I think would help would be like a Matthias Ekholm. You know, just like a stabilizer.
Sure.
Just someone that you can put out there in difficult minutes and that can still move pucks, that can still kind of play at the pace, but also brings that defensive presence. Kind of just like a bridge between everybody. Because I think that's what Trouba is supposed to be, but, you know, Trouba's playing well. So I'm not trying to poo him, but I think someone that's a little bit higher caliber in that sense would probably help the team a lot.
Yep, agreed. I think Matisse Ekholm was a great shout there. Mr. Jarrett said, so what is the plan for Vetrano? Is he just our fourth liner now? Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, they should have moved him. Like, they should have moved him prior to that contract. Like, they could have probably gotten, like, a decent pick for him or a decent prospect that you then can move for something else. Like, add the draft.
People are going to get angry at you for saying that.
Are they? I don't think people are going to get angry for that, but so whatever. Appa said, Felix, your favorite Ducks moment as a non-Ducks fan since the inception of the pod?
Favorite Ducks moment. I mean, it's been rough because the inception of the pod coincided with this team's kind of competitive window in the Getzlaf era ending. So it hasn't really been great. My favorite moment is not to rehash this, but my favorite moment was just like the early Trevor Zegras hype. Just that first season where, I mean, first or second or both, but you know, where he could just do no wrong, where he was kind of the darling and just he would be pulling off these crazy moves, and it just felt like every game you tuned in just to see what Zegras would do. That was that has been my favorite part of this experience, is just seeing and it kind of goes to any player. I mean, I would kind of extend this to other young players, is like seeing young players come in and seeing them mature and grow and you know, expand their games has been really cool, especially because I'm someone who watches them right when they come in. I see all the flaws, I point them out, people get mad, but then over time they get better, and I appreciate them maybe more than others because I know how they looked to start. But yeah, the Zegras kind of initial wave has been my favorite.
Yeah, that was a fun time. All right. We're going to jump to questions from Twitch and YouTube. So for those of you listening on your favorite podcast services, you can find us at twitch.tv/crashthepond. If you have an Amazon Prime subscription, you get one free Twitch Prime Gaming sub each and every month. You can use that to help us out in ways that more than you can imagine. Or if you have a YouTube account, and yes, everyone has a YouTube account, go to youtube.com/crashthepond, where you can subscribe, like our videos, comment on them, help us out with the comments. If there's people that are just straight up trolling in the comments, that happened last week, so that was fun. And just have a good time in our YouTube chat. So we got these questions. So if you have questions, throw them in the chat. I'm just kind of starting from where I threw in any cues. So while the Wobbit said, will 45 snub Demidov and get the Calder?
Well, I think people snub means like you got snubbed. I don't know if you can snub someone else. I guess I never thought about that. I can snub you out of an award. Anyway, Demidov right now leads rookies in scoring. I think that honestly, I think the favorite to win the Calder right now is Matthew Schaefer. I don't think it's Ivan Demidov. I mean, Matthew Schaefer coming in as an 18-year-old, 12 points in 16 games as a defenseman and looking as dominant as he has, playing 22 minutes a night is just remarkable. Now, Demidov is 13 points playing 13 minutes a night, which is kind of crazy. He still leads the rookies in scoring, but I think it's going to be Schaefer's award to lose if he keeps this up.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Let's see. Crowbar said, rank these young players: Nazar, Gauthier, Fantilli, Slafkovsky, Beniers.
Okay, that's 5 players?
Yes, rank them. I'll leave it to you, prospect guy.
Oh, don't do this to me. Okay, I will say... Oh, I'm going to get in trouble. Oh. Okay. I hate
We're an hour
Okay.
35 in. You're not going to get in trouble.
People are going to get mad at me for this. This is such a, kind of, I don't want to say random assortment, but it's like an interesting assortment. So I'll go number 1, Adam Fantilli. I'm sticking to that.
I'd agree.
Number 2. Oh, God.
To me, it's between Gauthier and Slafkovsky at 2.
See, I want to say Slav at 2, but people are going to say I'm biased, and I don't like that. I'll say Slafkovsky at 2, just because I think that he has the most, his potential is so high because of his size and his offensive ability. And then I think at number 3, I will say it's a tie. I'll give a 2-way tie at 3 with Nazar and Gauthier, because I really like Frank Nazar, and I always have. Go back and look at our draft coverage of that year. Gauthier has really risen in my estimation, and I think that both players kind of have their drawbacks, but they also have their gifts, which are very intriguing, like Nazar with his pace, with his playmaking, Gauthier with his skating, his shooting. These are both very intriguing players. And then I'm putting Beniers at 4 because I think Beniers is going to be a fine player, and I really like him. I just don't think he has a dimension to his game that really excites me. It's more of he's fine, and he's going to be a really solid second-line center on a playoff team for many years, but I just don't know if he has that kind of needle-moving trait like these other guys do. Your thoughts?
Yep. I think that's a good list. I feel like the Gauthier, Slafkovsky, Nazar portion of that is all kind of, you could put it in
subjective.
any order. You can put it in any order there. But I think that bookending it with Fantilli at the top and Beniers at the bottom is the right way to go.
Yeah, I mean, if you told me Gauthier 2, I wouldn't fight you on it. I think Gauthier has an argument. I think Gauthier, Slafkovsky, and Nazar all have an argument for 2.
Yep. All right. And then he also asked, do the Ducks make the playoffs? And then we also had a question in Twitch from Tristan Mist, who said, do you think the Ducks are making the playoffs at this point? I do think we've banked enough points, and Pacific being slow makes us think we can at worst, get to a wild card. And so I forget where it's at now, but I think Patrick mentioned prior to, maybe it was the Avalanche game, the Ducks only need to be at 540 points percentage, 0.54 points percentage to get to 94 points. So not really much above 500. But do you think that they do that? Do you think they make the playoffs?
Can I just say wait and see? Is that a legal response?
You and I are in the same boat because
I've just been burned too many times. I've been burned too many times.
I just don't know who this team is. I guess that's my question, is that the first 9 games of the season, this was a 25th in 5-on-5 or 5-on-5 expected goal share team, a team that really relied on goaltending and shooting, and just that's not going to be a recipe for making the playoffs long term. But these last 5 or 6 games puts that doubt in my head of okay, maybe they've banked those points, and we mentioned it after the last show that that's not necessarily who they're going to be, and if they improve on this, you don't take away those points from then on. And so if this is who they are, and if the way that they've played in the last 5 to 6 games is who they're going to be through the course of the season, then yeah, they make the playoffs. But I just don't know who they are. I guess that's my question.
Ask us at Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Or, well, not you.
I'm not disappearing from the face of the earth.
You're going to disappear off the face of the earth. No.
No.
You're going to be gone forever in our thoughts.
I will still be doing the Patreon podcast, by the way.
Austin Price said, "Not sure if it's fair / too early to speculate, but this is this a coaching in waiting situation where Woodcroft will be default be head coach when Coach Quenneville retires? Can't imagine he would coach for longer than 2 to 3 years."
I mean, look, the guy just got a job. Can we let him do his job before we start thinking about it feels a little rushed to this take.
As much as I would prefer it to be Woodcroft as the head coach, like it's just Quenneville's the guy they hired over Woodcroft. And if there's a position that opens up for Woodcroft, he's a really good head coach and probably will take it. One thing that I do want to mention on that note, like I think it's come out, I think Patrick said this specifically, is that Woodcroft and McGill really kind of handle the day-to-day of everything. And Quenneville is not really that involved.
He's the CEO.
Systems. He's not involved with the systems of the team. And so I do think that Woodcroft, from the offensive side of things, deserves a ton of credit for how this team is playing. A lot of people are going to give Quenneville credit, and he is the guy at the top, and so he does deserve it.
Well, the thing with Quenneville is that he has the philosophies. He has the concepts.
Sure.
He has the kind of approach of guys not getting benched for small mistakes. You know, like that is... It's really important to have that figurehead. So yes, I agree with you. Like having the systems guys is crucial to a team, and I'm never going to downplay that. But don't downplay, or people. I'm not saying you are, but like don't underestimate the impact of just a quality kind of leader / man manager. Like that is just as important as the X's and O's, because we've seen guys like literally Greg Cronin was, I think, a really good. Like if you listen to Greg Cronin talk about X's and O's, he really understands the nuance of the game. I mean, he did this whole presentation for a coaching website about just forechecking. I think he really does understand it, but clearly his man management left a lot to be desired. So I think credit is just due everywhere, right? Like everybody, everybody's doing a job here.
So the point I was going to make there is that I think Quenneville is going to get a lot of credit for the young players taking the step. And while I think as the head of it all, he certainly does deserve that from the on-ice side of it, I think Woodcroft is a guy that is going to get lost in the shuffle for the development of these young guys and what he's done for them. And so that's what I wanted to mention there, is that he's the one handling the day-to-day with these young guys and is the one that is talking to them on the bench. And I think if you want to talk about development, he's probably one that is going to get lost in the shuffle for making a difference for these players, but deserves to be shouted out.
Okay.
Let's see. Brandon Pineda said, all right, let's see. So he asked, it looks like things are going sideways for St. Louis, more so than other teams. Who could be peeled away with some pick / prospects? The best candidates for us are still in their mid-20s with at least a year or two of time left. Robertson was the name always connected us, but Dallas feels too strong to trade pieces right now. I mean, Jordan Kyrou is
Robert Thomas.
The name. Like Robert Thomas, Jordan Kyrou. I mean, we also got a question from Nicholas Rage of your perfect deadline edition for the Ducks if they're top 3 in the Pacific. I mean, I would not be going out and getting an old player on an expiring contract. You should be looking at a Robert Thomas, at a Jordan Kyrou, these younger players that might need a little bit of a change of scenery.
Yeah, like the Ducks need more guys in their primes because they have their roster is still, it's just either all young guys or all old guys, right? Like there's no real in between. And yeah, bringing in like a Robert Thomas or a Kyrou would be huge for that.
Yeah. Kyrou's 27. So that's kind of exactly
and
like the age.
Thomas is 26.
So yeah, like that is what they should be doing. And if they have so many young, like, would you do Stian Solberg for Robert Thomas?
Oh, that's a tough one. Because you know what? I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say yes because as much as I think Stian Solberg is going to be good, and again, all you Solberg people, don't come after me. Actually, come after me. I won't see it. It won't matter. But
I'm going to be dealing with it.
Yeah, throw tomatoes at Jake. But look, I like Solberg, but just look at the Ducks' blue line. It's going to be very difficult for him to play. There's just a lot of guys, and all the guys are looking pretty good, especially if you still believe in Pavel Mintyukov. So, you bring in a Robert Thomas and all of a sudden, or a Jordan Kyrou, and all of a sudden, like think about how much more, more complete your offensive group looks, and you still have the all those riches on the back end. So, I wouldn't want to trade Stian Solberg because I think he's currently a really big part of this team's future. But if it gets you a prime-aged player who raises your offensive ceiling, that is just something that you have to do. I think. I think this is the thing with the prospect people, and I'm one of those people. Don't get me wrong. I can no longer throw stones there. Don't overthink it, right? We all fall in love with prospects. We all fall in love with young players. Unless it's like a next big talent, you trade the prospect for the proven first line talent that's in their prime. You do that.
And especially in a position where you have so much depth.
Exactly. Like the Ducks can afford to do that.
Yeah. And that is what you should be doing to improve this team, is that type of move. And also getting Artemi Panarin is different than that. That is not a move this team really should be making from the long-term side of it.
And that's why that's why you draft all these guys, because even if they don't all make your team, they're trade chips. I mean, it sounds very heartless, but that's part of it.
Well, and here's the other side of it, because Brandon Pineda is saying, could you trade Minchikov or Zellweger instead? Sure, you could. I mean,
pick a name.
Any of them. And it ends up being what does St. Louis want? Also,
that's the thing. Look at what they did this summer, trading Zachary Bolduc, who just had a great season, for Logan Mailloux. They traded a forward for a defenseman. So clearly, I think that they believe that they have depth up front. They've got Snuggerud, they've got Dvorsky, and they've got Dylan Holloway. So I think that maybe they do move one of those two guys to add another big piece on the back end. That would actually make sense.
And I think getting Solberg is giving them a long-term piece for their blue line. You have to think about it from their side of it also. This is your reaction to me saying that is exactly how it should be in a trade, right? A trade should never be
deep breathing into a mic.
But actually having to think hard about it also. If it's something that you have to think hard about, that it was a tough decision, that means that's probably the right price.
Yeah, it's the right value. Yeah,
you have to give to get. And so I think that that's probably the type of trade the Ducks should be making.
And again, it's just going to be difficult for all of these guys to play. And at a certain point, as much as we all like the Ducks forward talent, they have Roger McQueen on the way. But then all the other forwards on the way are kind of bottom six guys. Maybe Eric Nilsson proves to be more than that. So adding another big piece up front, because you've got Kreider who's going to age out. You've got all the other veterans. Another big piece really solidifies this team's Stanley Cup window.
And both of those guys, by the way, Thomas and Kyrou, are in year 3 of an 8-year contract at $8.125.
Yeah, and they're on old money.
And
so it's going to age well.
That's the other part, because Linton Samuel Dawson says, can the Ducks afford getting a big-name player with extensions coming up? And so, yes, Leo Carlsson's going to get paid at this point.
12?
If you're Pat Verbeek, you should be offering 8 times 12 right now.
12?
You should offer him that now, because if he continues this pace and somehow breaks 100 points... 17? Where does Leo Carlsson end up?
17?
You need to overpay him right now to avoid having to pay even more as the season goes on. Same with Cutter Gauthier. But at the end of the day, an $8.125 million deal is not going to be that impactful as the cap keeps rising. And so
it's also going to be great value.
That is a very manageable deal to take on, whether you're taking on Robert Thomas or Jordan Kyrou.
Yeah. And I just realized we're almost 2 hours into this.
We are. We should probably get out of here, but do you want to get to your bit?
Well, thank you everyone for the questions, first of all. We appreciate everyone throwing in questions. It's the last one of these for a while, so it's okay to go long, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
But dusting off, I'm not even going to call it a bit. I'm just going to say this is a segment. I'm going to call this...
Wow.
What should I call this segment?
Well, it's a one-off because I'm not going to remember to do it.
Should I call it Around the Pond? Ponders Around the World? CTP Around the Globe?
Sure.
I'll workshop it. On my quote-unquote sabbatical, which is
sabbatical.
Actually a sabbatical, but yeah. All right, I'll start with California, all right?
Okay.
So for those who don't know, this bit is where I will go onto our Crash the Pond website, where Jake has been diligently posting articles while I have fallen off the face of the planet. And so we see where everybody is clicking from. We actually see where you guys are reading from, engaging with us from. And so we want to shout people out all over the place. We've got Andrew saying across the pond. Interesting. I don't mind that.
That is a good one.
Around the pond, maybe? Because across the pond?
Across the pond works.
Across the pond. Okay. Let's see. So California. Who did I not shout out last time? I don't know. So we've got all the big cities in OC. I'll shout out. We had 22 clicks from Ontario in the last month. So shout out to Ontario. We had 26 clicks from Murrieta. So Inland Empire. We see you. We had 4 clicks from Brawley, California. Where the heck is Brawley? You want to look that up?
Brawley, California. Let's see.
Where the heck is Brawley?
It is in Imperial Valley. Where's Imperial Valley?
Okay, I've got another.
It is inland from San Diego.
Okay. We also had
south of Indio.
We also had 4 clicks from Pollock Pines. Again, never heard of this place. Pollock Pines. Anyone know where Pollock Pines is?
Pollock Pines. Let's see.
Oh, wow. This? That's like it's by Tahoe. Interesting. Oh. I think we've got someone living up there, cuz I'm seeing clicks from there's a town called Murphy's up there.
Okay.
Which is in that area. So we see you. We hear you. We
appreciate
you.
If you use NordVPN, you can also just pick where you want us to see.
These might just be VPN users. Yeah. Shout out to someone, I don't know how to pronounce this, so I'm going to butcher this. Tujunga? 7 clicks from Tujunga in the last 30 days. Sorry, I for sure butchered that.
It's in Los Angeles. Where is this? It's like north of Burbank. Yeah,
so shout out to Tujunga. Okay. One of these pronunciations has to be correct.
You're just going to use all of them.
We also had 19 clicks from, wait for it, Unknown. So we see you, Unknown. Thank you for your clicks. The most clicks we got in California. Guess where they were from in the last 30 days?
Los Angeles.
So despite being an Orange County team podcast, most of our it's because it's a lot of IP addresses. It's like default to say LA.
Yeah, exactly.
Our most visited Orange County city was, no surprise, Anaheim, followed by Irvine, Huntington Beach, and San Clemente. Not Clementi. Not Clementi, as you people would say.
As I say it.
Okay, name a random state. So thank you to all our California people. We see you, we hear you, we love you.
Oregon.
But give me Oregon. Okay. Let's see. Oregon. What is Oregon? What's the nickname of Oregon?
I don't know. Why?
Look it up.
Oregon.
Look it up. What do you do here?
The Beaver State.
The Beaver State. So shout out to our Beaver people. We had 21 clicks from Portland, which was the leader in clicks in the last 30 days. 9 clicks from Corvallis. So
I've been to Corvallis.
Isn't that where was Oregon State?
Yep.
Oregon State, yeah. So shout out to the Pac-12 there. Don't actually know if it was Pac-12, but I'll just say it anyway.
They were in the Pac-12. I don't know what they're in now.
Okay. Well, yeah, nobody's in the Pac-12 anymore. 2 clicks from Hillsboro. And then, we've got St. Helens, Roseburg, Boardman, Lebanon, Bend, and the Dallas? I don't know. So shout out to Oregon. Shout out to the Beaver State. Someone's saying Maine. Should we do Maine real quick?
Sure, we can do Maine. I mean, I got nowhere to be. I'm on paternity leave still, so sure.
That's true. You'll be up in 3 hours anyway. So
100% exactly.
Where is? Do we not have any clicks from Maine?
Do we not have any clicks from Maine?
Dang, that makes me sad.
Wow, 0 clicks from Maine.
Wow. Okay, Maine. Well, you've got some work to do.
Oh, Zach Kavanaugh on our YouTube chat. Shout out Zach, as always, doing great work, saying, still in the Pac-12 as it rises from the grave. Them and Wazoo and a bunch of state schools. There it is.
Love
Thanks,
that.
Zach.
Yeah.
Someone use your VPN to go to Maine to give us a click. How about
we
that?
need to hit all 50. How about this? I'll stay in the PNW and go to Washington.
Okay.
So our leader in the clubhouse in Washington, 12 clicks from unknown. So thank you, unknown. 9 clicks in Seattle. Was that just like Derek or one of the beat writers up in Seattle, like for a road trip? Like, Are we sure that's even a? But hey, shout out to whoever.
You're outing Zach right now.
3 clicks in Bothell, and 2 clicks in Federal Way, Washington. So anyway, shout out to all the Crash the Ponders, the Across the Ponders, the Around the Ponders. We love you. We appreciate you. Andrew in the chat saying he went to Fresno State. So shout out to Fresno State. The Bulldogs.
Yes.
Pac-12? Pac-12?
I guess now. Yeah, they're in the Pac-12 now. I guess. I don't know.
Can I just say it? I would not want to live in Fresno.
I'm absolving from saying anything. I don't want hate from people. I'm avoiding the hate. I'm avoiding the hate.
I was in Sequoia National Park last weekend and got to see the beauties of Central California. We stayed at a campground by the park, and there was this lady that was like the campsite manager, and she used the word yonder, like not sarcastically, consistently. She's like, "Oh yeah, your tent is down yonder." Oh yeah, and then she told us this story one morning because we were saying how there was a lot of woodpeckers. So every morning at 6 a.m., you just hear woodpeckers just drilling away. And she would be like, "Oh yeah, I had someone gave me a 22 once, and when I got really annoyed with the woodpeckers, I was just like, oh my god, what is there are just pockets of California that never cease to amaze me. You would never think you're in California with some of these stories." So
Felix, Zach in our YouTube chat says he wants you to guess the new Pac-12 lineup. I'll tell you this: there are 10 schools in this.
there are 10 schools in the Pac-12.
You have to guess. What schools do you think there are? I think I've said 2 of them already. Or
Okay,
3 of them have been said.
Okay, can I use Google just to give me a list?
No, you have to guess them.
No, I can't. I'm gonna cheat. I don't care.
Okay.
Okay, USC. I'm looking at a list and I'm trying to figure out which is which from the list. USC.
What? USC's not.
They're not in the Pac-12.
No,
Oh,
USC's
I'm
in the
0 for
Big
1.
Ten.
That's stupid.
Oh, you're looking at a list of college schools. Got it.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Got
College schools.
it. We're 2 hours into this thing.
UCLA has to be. Oh my
No,
god!
Big
What is-
Ten.
Then it's not the Pac-12.
Those
It's
were
just
the
not
old
Pac-12.
Pac-12. You were just naming the old Pac-12 teams at this
Well,
point.
you asked me to guess. I'm
Okay,
guessing.
Go on.
Can I get through this?
Okay.
Washington State
Yes.
has to be. Okay. San Diego State.
Yes.
Okay, 2 for 4. Let's go. Now it gets tricky. Oregon State?
Yes. We already said that, so yes.
Well, it's on my list.
Okay.
I'm doing colleges on the West Coast with D1 football. Stanford?
No.
Really?
Well, I guess they're in the ACC.
Oh,
The
that's
Atlantic.
right.
Yeah.
That is so
Them and
stupid.
Cal.
UW? UW?
Big Ten.
Oh my God, what is up with this? ASU?
They I think are in the Big 12.
University of Oregon.
They are in the Big 10 as well.
University of Nevada, Reno.
No, I don't know what they are in.
UNLV.
No.
Cal.
Cal is also in the ACC.
I give up. This is stupid. This isn't the Pac-12. Then I'm gonna. So let's hear it. What's the list?
All right. Oregon State, Washington State, Boise State, Colorado State, Fresno State, San Diego State, Utah State, Texas State, and Gonzaga.
That's not even the Pac. Like, there's no Pacific element to that.
I mean,
You've got Gonzaga.
Gonzaga.
Yeah, but like Colorado and Utah. I guess wasn't Utah in the Pac-12?
Yeah, I mean, so not Utah State was not in the Pac-12. Utah.
Oh, okay.
Different Utah. And also the original Pac-10, Pac-10 did not have Utah or Colorado in it.
Wait.
The original Pac-10 made so much sense.
Wait.
The Pac-10 used to be, when it first was a thing. I mean, there was a Pac-8 and that type of stuff. But the Pac-10 was Oregon State, Washington State, Stanford, Cal, USC, UCLA, Arizona State.
Yes, that was the GOAT.
And then they added Utah and they added Colorado in 2010. And then all the money came in and teams wanting to go to super conferences. And that's when things went to when USC, UCLA, Oregon, and Washington moved to the Big Ten, and the Pac-12 was just completely dissolved, basically. And that's Cal and Stanford.
I'm looking at Wikipedia, and it has a membership map. So this includes full members, associate members, future members. You've got future non-football members and future associate members. So I don't really know what these distinctions mean, but there's Cal Poly SLO, Cal State Bakersfield, Southern Utah, Northern Illinois, Little Rock, Dallas. This is preposterous. This is so bad. This is just not the Pacific.
I mean, it's the Mountain West Conference with a new name now.
Illinois, an Arkansas team.
I mean, at the end of the day,
this is college football is just stupid.
Well, that's
stupid. Stupid.
For football, it at least makes sense. The crappy thing is for basketball, for all of the other sports having to travel.
Everyone else gets shafted. How great is that? How great is that? The teams get to rake in millions, and everyone else just has to deal with it. You know what? Well, who cares? Who cares about any of this? I don't. Surely no one else does.
I do. Should we have a click from a random country?
Yeah, we don't do the internationals. This is across the pond.
Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to see what's a country that has a city that's actually in there and not just unknown. We have 12 clicks from Ireland. All different cities.
Really? That
Galway,
has to be
Meath,
VPN?
Longford, Wicklow, Cork, Limerick, South Tipperary.
So I think those are parishes.
Oh,
I don't know.
There are cities underneath there. Sorry.
Yes.
Sorry to those that.
Shame on you.
Shame on you. Yeah. Belgium, we had 11 quicks from Kortrijk.
Okay.
2 from Brussels, 1 from Antwerp. So
yeah.
Also, Zach said Cal Poly SLO, Bakersfield, and Arkansas are just members for wrestling, but Felix's point stands.
Yeah, thank you. Finally, someone gets it. Enough of this dumb stuff, this dumb crap. Are we all just okay with this?
We're okay with it is at this point.
It's been hijacked. You know what? I was actually having this discussion on the road trip up to Sequoia. Has college football been ruined? Just straight up ruined.
I do miss not having player movement. That is something I do genuinely miss, is if guys were to transfer, and I get why it's changed. I understand it. But I miss guys, if they wanted to transfer, they had to sit out a year, and it was a massive a huge hit if you were going to transfer. Whereas now it's guys jump around. You have guys, USC's benefiting from it with the quarterback Maeva, who was at UNLV and then made the jump to USC afterwards. But there's something nice about having guys on your team for 4 years. And instead I'm realizing, Zachariah Branch is not on the team anymore. He went somewhere else. And it's these players you get invested in. And it was the nice part about college football, that it was these are the guys that are here for 4 years or 3 years.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, the thing I don't understand is that I fully support the NIL and guys getting paid, because it's basically theft if they're not getting paid. So I support that. What I don't understand is how has it turned into this? Because I feel like we can achieve both of, hey, we want the players to get paid because it's just a fair deal, but also, or actually, it's not even that we want the players to get paid. It's that we want the players to be able to get paid. I think that that's another key distinction. Like, they just shouldn't be foreclosed from it. But can we also kind of like, does it have to come at the cost of, like you said, everything that kind of makes college football college football? Because I feel like it's just turned into European soccer, basically, where guys are just flying around, changing teams. You have Bo Nix, who gets to the NFL at like 25. Like, it just, I don't know how you feel about that.
I mean, I miss how it was before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
2 hours
we should
in.
get out of here.
2 hours in. Don't know how this
2
happened.
hours in debating about college football.
This is basically this is a Patreon podcast now.
This has turned into a Patreon episode.
Well, that's a great segue.
Yeah.
So thank you everyone for listening. Thank you everyone for supporting us. Like I said, I am going to be taking a step back. I will not be on the show regularly. You know, I may pop in every now and again to give my 2 cents, but I will still be on the Patreon because the people that are supporting us there, I want to make good on their support, and you know, I would feel bad to just kind of step away from that as well because those people support us tremendously. If you want to join that group, go to patreon.com/crashthepond. For $2 a month, you get access to our patrons-only Discord. This is a great place to connect with other diehard Ducks fans. It's a great place to connect with us. You get to chat hockey with us all the time. There's always people in there. It's just a passionate group. Everyone in there really cares about the game. Everyone in there really cares about the Ducks, and you won't find anything else like it on the internet. I promise you that, especially when it comes to the Ducks. You can upgrade that pledge to $7.50 a month. So there you get access to 2 bonus podcasts, and now that will be the home for me for the meanwhile until February. And you also get access to exclusive shift-by-shift player videos where I play an entire video of just a player's shift, doing kind of commentary throughout, pointing out different things, pausing, going through frame by frame of a specific sequence, and get a couple. I'm probably going to do more of those now that I'm going to have more time I won't be watching the full games like I would be otherwise. That's all at patreon.com/crashthepond. Head on over there. We really appreciate that. You can also support us by leaving a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts. You can support us by subscribing on Spotify. Leave a comment there. You can support us by checking out the sponsors that'll be listed in our bio, or in the description, sorry. Follow us on social media. Check out the website, crashthepond.com, so we can shout out your city on the show. And with all that being said, I will talk to you guys soon. Have a good one.
Bye.